Hello, hello, student. Are you listening? Hello. Yes, again. Okay, okay. Today's topic about the healthy housing and the health hazards are related with housing, and we also should discuss the WHO guidelines. So, this lecture in which we cover the regarding the health indicators, WHO guidelines for healthy housing criteria, common diseases due to the indoor pollution, and indoor house radiation, its causes, as well as we also discuss the chemical hazards related to the we used in the housing or homes. Okay, first start with the definition of healthy housing. Healthy housing is a shelter that supports a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Healthy housing provides a feeling of home, including a sense of belonging, security, and privacy. Housing also refers to the physical structure of the dwelling and the extent to which it enables physical health, including by being structurally sound, by providing shelter from the elements and from excess uh, moisture, and by facilitating comfortable temperature, adequate sanitation and illumination, sufficient space, safe fuel or connection to the electricity, and protection from the pollutants. Protection from the pollutants as well as injuries, mold and pests. Whether housing is healthy also depend on factors outside its walls. It depends on the local community, which enables social support, health, and well-being. Finally, healthy housing relies on the immediate housing environment and the extent to which this provide access to the services, space, and active in public transport options, as well as the protection from the waste, pollution, and the effects of disaster, whether natural or man-made. So, in this, we define about the healthy housing, and this is a WHO definition. So, first we discuss the indicators. The health indicators are the quantifiable characteristics of a population which researchers use as supporting evidence for describing the health of a population. For any country or community or any region, if you look for the health status of a country, we should look for these indicators like crude death rates, the life expectancy, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, proportional mortality rate. These are the uh, basic fundamental health indicators on which basis we can judge that the health status of a country or that region or community is good or not good. Then health status also we can look for the prevalence of different diseases in that region or country. The incidence counts of any of the following in a population may be health indicator. So, on prevalence of different diseases which are prevail in the community, on which we can see the health of a country. Like we should see that how many babies are low birth weight, obesity prevalence, arthritis, diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure, cancer incidence, chronic pain, oral health, depression, hospital visits due to injury, reports of waterborne disease or foodborne illnesses. So these are the specific indicators on which we can uh, judge the health of a country. The housing and health, the most of the world's population growth over the next 20 years will occur in the low and middle income cities. Nearly 40% of urban growth today in the unhealthy slum housing. The exposure and the health risk in the some environment are critically important because of the large amount of time people spend there. In high income countries, around 70% of people's time is spent inside their home. In some places, including where unemployment levels are higher and whether more people are employed in home based industries, this percentage is even higher. The children, the elderly, and those with a disability or chronic illnesses are likely to spend most of their time at home and are therefore more exposed to health risks associated with the housing. Children are also at increased risk of harms from the some of the toxins that are present in some housing, such as those in the lead paint. Previously or currently also, the different paints we use for coloring the houses are having this lead poison, which mostly these children are liquoring and they ingest this poison and they have the many chronic consequences on their health. Housing will become increasingly important to the health due to the demographic and climate changes. The number of people aged up over 60 years of age who spend larger proportion of their time at home will double by 2050. So in the coming future, coming years or decades, the percentage of the population, aged population, are mostly live their life in their houses. The changing weather pattern associated with the climate change also underline the importance of housing, providing protection from cold, heat, and extreme weather events. So this number goes all increasing by passage of time because due to the many factors, people will spend more time in their homes or houses. The Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, 1948. This article 25 of the United Nations in 1948 Universal Declaration of the Human Rights states that everyone has the right to a standard of living, educate for the health and well-being of himself and for his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services. Guidance on healthy housing should be developed to help prevent a wide range of diseases and unintentional injuries that can be effectively addressed through better housing. This was a key message emerging from an international consultation of 40 experts from 18 countries hosted by WHO in Geneva between 13 October 2010. The scientific evidence on the many links between housing and health has grown substantially in recent decades. This evidence can be used to guide primary preventive measures related to the housing construction, renovation, use and maintenance, which can promote better overall health. Housing improvements are accelerating for many reasons to the conserve energy in the face of climate change. The address needs of rapidly urbanizing global population, prevention of homelessness and slum growth, and other factors. There is a clear need and opportunity for governments and others to promote health in the course of making investments in the housing. The international guidance on healthy housing targeting construction experts, architects and engineers as well as the housing agencies and local authorities would enable action that is scientifically based and protects and advances the public health. The WHO Housing and Health Guidelines highlight the increasing impact of housing condition on human health in light of urban growth, climate and demographic changes. The guidelines provide evidence-based recommendations that are relevant to the inadequate living space, low and high indoor temperatures, injury hazards in home, and accessibility of housing for people with functional impairments. In addition, the guidelines identified and summarize the existing WHO guidelines and recommendations related to the housing. The recommendation to promote healthy housing for sustainable and equitable future. Improve housing condition can save lives, prevent diseases, increase quality of life, reduce poverty, and help mitigate climate change. Housing is becoming increasingly important to the health in the light of urban growth, aging population, and climate change. Housing and the built environment have a profound impact on the human health. The housing sector, commercial or residential, is responsible for approximately 19% of global greenhouse gas emission and approximately one-third of the black carbon emission, a major component of particulate air pollution. Housing conditions also affect the health with respect to building, sitting and land use, choices of construction material, design features, and ventilation and energy. The numerous housing strategies are available to improve health and mitigate climate change. For example, are more energy efficient heating and biomass and biogas cook stoves in developing countries can significantly reduce the health damaging indoor air pollution exposure and improve thermal comfort. The examples of key housing related health risks include the respiratory and cardiovascular disease from indoor air pollution, illness and death from temperature extremes, communicable diseases spread because of the poor living conditions and risk of home injuries. The household air pollution around 3.8 billion. This is a report published in 2016. 3.8 million die prematurely every year from household air pollution from cooking. Household air pollution is mostly created by using kerosene and solid fuels such as wood with polluting stoves, open fires and lamps. The women and children are the most at risk. The risk around 18% due to stroke, 27% from the ischemic heart disease, 20% from the chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases (COPD), 8% from lung cancer, and 27% are due to the pneumonia. So these all factors are related to the indoor pollution. The inadequate ventilation is also associated with the higher risk of airborne infectious disease transmission, including tuberculosis, as well as the accumulation of indoor pollutants and the dampness, which are factors in the development of the allergies and the asthma. Poor housing quality and design also can exacerbate the health impact from the exposure to the temperature extremes, which are occurring more frequently due to the climate change. Most of the world's population growth over the next 20 years will occur in the low and middle income cities, and nearly 40% of the urban growth today is in the unhealthy slum houses. The poor housing can expose people to several health risks. For example, structurally deficient housing due to poor construction or maintenance can increase the likelihood that people slip or fall, increasing the risk of injury. Poor accessibility to the homes may expose their disabled and elderly residents to the risk of injury. Stress and isolation. Housing that is insecure, sometimes due to the affordability issues or weak security of tenure, is stressful. Housing that is difficult or expensive to heat can contribute to poor respiratory and cardiovascular outcomes. While high indoor temperature can increase the cardiovascular mortality, indoor air pollution harms respiratory health and may trigger allergic and irritant reactions such as asthma. The crowded housing increase the risk of exposure to the infectious diseases and stress. Inadequate water supply and sanitation facilities affect food safety and personal hygiene. Urban design that discourage physical activity contribute to the obesity and related conditions such as diabetes and poor mental and cardiovascular health. Unsafe building material or building practices or building homes in unsafe location can expose people to a range of risks such as injury due to the building collapse. The housing in slums and informal housing pose particular risks to the health. Currently, around 1 billion people live in slum conditions today, which often develop due to the exclusion from the planning processes. According to the UN Habitat, a slum household is a group of individuals under same roof in an urban area, lacking one or more of the following: a durable housing, sufficient living space, security of tenure, sanitation and infrastructure, and access to the improved water sources. The slum dwellers are therefore exposed to many of the risks associated with the housing, such as structurally defective dwelling, inadequate housing facilities, and overcrowding, but also face particular health risks from poor sanitation and unsafe electric connections, toxic building materials, unvented cooking facilities, and unsafe infrastructure, including roads. In addition, such settlements are sometimes in locations that are more likely to expose occupants to hazards such as landslides, floods, and industrial pollution. In relation to the well-being, the lack of legal title to homes is stressful and can expose slum dwellers to the risk of forced evacuation. Additionally, many countries have initiated programs to modify their existing housing stock to make homes more energy efficient and more resilient in the face of climate change. They use different type of materials. They use the solar panels for consuming the solar energy. They use the proper dumping of the waste and proper consuming the water sources and their distribution. So energy efficient homes is the answer to many such problems. There is no doubt that home electronics have made our lives more convenient, more entertaining, and have helped us to stay better connected with those we love. Devices like microwaves and blenders have made food preparation quick and simple. Other home electronics like television and DVDs players have greatly enhanced our ability to entertain ourselves. Now we're talking about the indoor radiation. The most home electronics equipment emits electronic radiation that can be harmful to our brain and body. Even though these radiation comes from the walls and from the surrounding structural material also, which is we name it the radon precipitation or radon concentration in the indoor pollution. As we continually add new home electronics, the negative effects on our health are compounded. It is important to know the impact that these devices are having upon your health and how to reduce the negative effects. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas which may be found in high concentration in indoor environment such as homes and workplaces. The radon is one of the leading cause of the lung cancer. Radon is estimated to cause between 3 to 14% of all lung cancer in many countries, depending on the national average radon levels and smoking prevalence. The lung cancer risk is higher for smokers due to synergistic effect of radon and the cigarette smoking. Well-tested, durable and cost-efficient method exist for preventing radon entry into new buildings and reducing radon in existing buildings. The radon concentration indoors can easily be measured with the small passive detectors. Common source of electronic radiation are come from the cordless phones, cordless baby alarm, cellular phones, wireless routers, microwave ovens, Bluetooth devices, radios and TV, and many others. This is a spectrum, and their intensity of their wavelengths of different devices. It shows you the non-ionizing radiation and the ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation usually comes from the different X-rays and other ultraviolet radiations and nuclear radiation, and these even small electronic devices, though they emit very less amount of radiation, but their synergistic effect can contribute to many indoor pollution diseases. If you live near a cell phone tower, you are probably receiving an even larger dose of radiation. The neighborhoods are typically swimming in radiation due to the numerous wireless networks and cell phones being employed in practically every house. The electronic radiation from everyday devices is usually emitted in very small quantities. However, with the large number of devices that we have in our homes, the cumulative effects can be very dangerous. They can produce many diseases from minor to dangerous diseases like from headache, nausea, brain tumor, dizziness, depression, paralysis, insomnia, muscle pain, Alzheimer's disease, infertility, and miscarriages. The health problem related to the radiation, including the irregular behavior patterns in children, skin cancer risk, hypersensitivity, and increased blood pressure, a constant feeling of melancholy or depression, exhaustion and fatigue, a disruption in sleep patterns, frequent and severe headaches, abdominal pain, constipation, diarrhea. How to eliminate radiation from the home electronics? First, we detect the radiation levels. For that purpose, there are many detectors by which you can see the level of different radiation in different rooms or different portion of the house. Test your home to determine where your radiation is emitted. Adjust your environment to reduce the amount of radiation that you are exposed to at home. Another way to eliminate the radiation is to use of the antioxidants. Investing in in the clothing, investing in clothing garments that protect against radiation can go a long way in protecting your health. Antioxidant may be also protect from the radiation, and many these year in New Zealand are attributable to the household crowding. In 2012, India recorded over 2,600 deaths and 850 of various injuries resulting from the collapse of the over 2,700 buildings. In Kyrgyzstan, household crowding causes 18.13 deaths per 100 from tuberculosis per year. Exposure to the lead is estimated to have caused 8 lakhs and 53,000 deaths in 2013 around the world. Okay, now we talk about the different uh, chemical hazards associated with the indoor injuries or poisoning. As we already discussed, the females and the children are at risk due to these presence of these chemicals at home. Did you know that every day in your home you come in contact with the toxic and hazardous chemicals? If you don't pay attention and make a concerted efforts, it is almost impossible to avoid this stuff. Let's look at the most common household chemicals and what you can do to reduce your exposure and susceptibility to their negative impact on health. The most common chemical is ammonia. Is found in a variety of household cleaners. kitchen, bathroom, floor, oven, glass, and polishers. If the product is at least 5% ammonia, it has to be labeled as poisonous. The most dishwashing detergents contain chlorine in a dry concentrated form. Those little dishwasher packets usually have bright colors and have been mistaken for candy by many a curious child. In fact, they are actually a leading cause of child poisoning. The similar looking laundry detergent packages have also become a problem. Many carpet cleaning formulas use toxic substances such as perchloroethylene and ammonium hydroxide. The former is known as carcinogen and can damage the liver, kidneys, and the nervous system. The ammonium hydroxide is corrosive to the eyes, skin, and respiratory passages. So we just go through again a few important things. Every student should know these important guidelines like this article. It was released in 1948, Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to standard living, educate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services. Then, at least you should know the health indicators. What are the health indicators? They are the crude death rate, life expectancy, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, proportional mortality rate, and further you can specifically say about different diseases and their prevalences, which also show the health indicators of a country. Then the most important in this lecture is the different diseases related to the infectious disease as well as the non-infectious diseases like radiation and their effects on health. The sources of radiation, the effect of radiation on health. There are a few examples. The health problem related to with the radiation. The role of antioxidant for elimination of the different radiation and chemical related things, and few is like ammonium, chlorine, and ammonium hydroxide, perchloroethylene. So these are the important features of today's lecture. So if you have any question, please ask. Yes, any question regarding the topic?